All right, so this will be the next chapter in the Rust book, chapter 3. We just finished up the guessing game in the last one. We learned a lot of good things. This time we're going to go over variables, immutability, data types, functions, comments, and control flow, and we'll see if we make it to chapter 4. It depends how long it takes us to get through this. I'm also going to answer questions and stuff, so, just basic Q&A stuff if you guys have questions about mostly whatever, but we'll try to keep it Rust related. And let me actually... I can never get the chat to work, right away, so let me work on this a little bit here. If I don't see anything come in a little while, then I'll know something's up and I'll have to change this. This is how I plan to kind of do my layout with this, though. I think this is a little bit better. Maybe I'll just put this over here, I guess. Yeah, if I could get that a little small. I wish I could change the CSS for this thing, but I don't really know a good way to do that. Anyway, yeah, so let's get started here. I'm just going to probably collapse this so we can get a little more screen real estate there. And I'm sure we're going to be starting a new project, but let me also get the microphone a little bit closer. Okay. Okay, so this chapter covers concepts that appear in almost every programming language and how they work in Rust. I'm glad they're all they're just kind of doing this in one shot, because this can get kind of painful otherwise. Let me get rid of this, because now I think the chat's working, but it's over here. So here we go. All right. Anything like the Rust book for CSS? Just wondering. Not that I know. When I learned CSS, I learned it mostly from, I think it was Brad Traversy or something like that. None of the concepts presented in this chapter are unique to Rust, but we'll discuss them in the context of Rust and explain the conventions around using these concepts. Okay. Specifically, you'll learn about variables, basic types, functions, comments, and control flow. These foundations will be in every Rust program, and learning them early will give you a strong core to start from. Sure. Great. I hope this is working. Let me change this to live. We'll say. Okay, live. Someone else showed up here, so maybe it's better live. Hello, Zaspany. Okay, so keywords. What is this? Rust language has a set. Just keywords, right? So has a set of keywords that are reserved for use by the language. Only much as in other languages. Keep in mind you cannot use these words as names or variables or functions. Most of the keywords. Right, so we just can't use keywords. If we go to Appendix A, we'll find all the keywords. And that's good enough. All right. So variables and immutability, or mutability. As mentioned in storing values with variables section, by default, variables are immutable. Right, so this is from the last thing. So this is just a simple Rust program. If you didn't watch the last one, it's no big deal. You don't need to watch these in order or anything. There's no, you just can I'm learning, so if there's any concept that maybe you want clarity on, or you just want to see someone else struggle through the concepts, then you can use these videos. But so anyway, we had to make guess mutable because we were making a new string and we wanted to change. Otherwise, things are if we don't do that. Well, actually, the compiler will throw up for us, right? So if we save that, it'll tell us over here we can't borrow guess as immutable, right? So yeah, things are immutable by default. This is one of the many nudges Rust, and for instance in C, things are not immutable by default, right? So this is, let's see, one of the many nudges Rust gives to write your code in a way that takes advantage of safety and easy concurrency, right? Let's see. However, you still have the option to make your variables mutable, and we know that. Let's explore how and why Rust encourages you to favor immutability and why sometimes you might want to opt out. All right, when a variable is immutable, once a value is bound to a name, you can't change that value. To illustrate this, let's generate a new project called variables in your projects directory by using cargo and new variables. All right, let's do that. So we're going to close out this, and we're just going to do cargo. Well, let me see. Okay, so we have all this stuff here. Cargo new variables. All right, and let's just open up variables. You could probably use different chat reader. I know Twitch has many chat applications that are also fast. Okay, maybe we're gonna have to move over to Twitch. How's it going? Some of you guys, it's hard to say your names. Melanx. I'm just gonna say Mel. How's it going, Mel? When a variable is immutable, once a value is bound. Okay, we went over that. We created our new project. Then in your new variables directory, open up source main and replace its code with the following code. This code won't compile just yet. Well, we're going to know why. And I think we already know why, because it's going to be an immutability thing. So we're going to save this. What's it going to tell us? Cannot assign twice to immutable variable. If we then said mute in front of it, like that, then you'd be good to go. But whatever, let's continue with the book. Save and compile. We don't really need to compile. We can see the compilation, but we also have our editor here to let us know what the problem is, right? This example shows how the compiler helps you find errors in your programs. Compiler errors can be frustrating, but really I mean, it's not going to compile and actually work, right? So it's nice to see these diagnostics. What's going on, Saeed? All right, so the error message indicates that the cause of the error is that you cannot assign twice to a immutable variable x. All right, we got that. It's important that we get compile time errors. Basically, the idea of compile time errors is it's nice to have compile time errors. So if you're used to like dynamic languages, things like Python, things like JavaScript, then you won't get nice things like this, right? I'm very used to this because I'm a Java developer, so the compiler catches a lot of this stuff in my IDE before I go to actually run the code or something like that, so it's kind of nice, but there's a lot of stuff that Python, for instance, something like Python and JavaScript won't catch, right? So this is, that's basically all it's saying, is it's just nice to have a compiler and be a compiled language. But mutability can also be very useful and can make your code more convenient to write. Variables are immutable only by default. As you go to chapter 2, you can make them mute, as you did in chapter 2, you can make them mutable by adding mute in front of the variable name. We know that. Mute also conveys intent to future readers of the code by indicating that other parts of the code will be changing this variable's value. Yeah, that kind of makes sense, right? So like if you just have like an X in Python, like if you're looking at a long program in Python, or not really so much JavaScript anymore because JavaScript has const now, but if you're looking at a long program in Python and you just say like X equals 5, you don't know if X is changing later, right? Like you have no clue. If this function, especially if you get one of these people who want to write like 100-line long functions, right? I mean, you can go look through it, but now what's nice is about this is if you just put mute like that, right, then you know, okay, X is going to be changed later on. I don't know, like even if I can't see X, I know that there is some intention to change it later on. What's going on? Angel, Hero just spent 4 hours writing DWM on a new laptop, finally can just use it. You think that, but there's something wrong with it right now. There's a really weird corner case, and you need to fix that before you can do anything productive. Good evening, sir. How did you configure these sweet diagnostics? I tried your Rust branch. It didn't work for me. It should work for you. Make sure you're on the right version of NeoVim, and if not, ping me in the Discord, and I might be able to help in the Discord and the NeoVim channel. All right. Ooh, look, we can run it too. Cool. So, yeah, that's basically it. We just had to make that mutable. All right, and we're good to go. Okay, so we're allowed to change the value bound to X from 5 to 6 when mute is used. There are multiple trade-offs to consider in addition to prevention of bugs. For example, in cases you're using large data structures, mutating an instance in place may be faster than copying and returning newly allocated instances. Right. I also want to note that there's something pretty cool if you go and look at, well, I don't want to go and, I'll just open up a new one. First book E, okay, thank you. If we go back to the guessing game really quick, you can see that we're doing let mutable guess here, right? And that's a string, but then later on, we actually parse that, right? And we can actually use the same variable guess. And you know what's even funnier is my editor is smart enough to know, like, see how it's highlighting this guess? Like, you see that, like, highlight right there? And it's also highlighting this guess down here. That's because, like, they're the same guess, right? But they're different than this guess, and this guess, and this guess. These three guesses are totally different because these are strings. And this one right here is an unsigned 32-bit integer. And so once it's casted to that, or parsed, or whatever, now the editor knows, it's smart enough. It's saying, hey, this is a totally different thing, but you can use the same exact variable name, so you don't have to say, like, this is guess int, and this is guess string, or something like that. And I kind of like that. So, yeah. Let's get rid of that. So, okay, data structures. With smaller data structures, creating new instances and writing in a more functional programming style may be easier to think through, so lower performance might be a worthwhile penalty for gaining clarity. Yeah, that's one thing with functional programming is, like, you don't, like, immutability is a big thing there, right? So, like, you can't really take advantage of, I guess, memory as much, right? So, like, reusing the same variable, for instance. Like immutable variables, constants are values that are bound to a name and are not allowed to change. Okay, so are bound to a name and not allowed to change, but there are a few differences between constants and variables. So a variable is going to be anything you declare with let, and a constant will be something else. Well, obviously something you declare with const, but sure. I'm using your basic IDE as a template for my config. How can I stay up to date with your version while keeping changes I made? Will just learning Git properly answer my question? It might. I won't make that many changes. But yeah, using Git properly will, because you can pull origin from my branch and you can pull it into your NVim. So if you want to make changes that you make, that's fine, and then you can just git pull origin my repo, and then so learn a little bit about git pulling from other, you know, from forked repositories and things like that, or templates. Maybe there's something special about the template as well. And then you should be able to grab all my new changes whenever maybe there's a patch or a bug fix or something. Show thumbs up crystal ball. I don't know what that means. I'll have to think about that. So let's see. We got a constant. The last different. Okay, constants can be declared in any scope. Did I read over this? Okay, no, I didn't. I don't think I read over any of this. Like immutable variables, constants are values that are bound to the name. We did read that. First, you aren't allowed to use mute with constants, which makes sense, right? Constants aren't just immutable by default; they're always immutable. You declare constant, so that's a difference with like JavaScript. Like JavaScript, let is immediately immutable, whereas const in JavaScript is not immutable, and const here can never be immutable, and I don't think it can be in JavaScript either. But let is also immutable by default. So yeah. All right, first you aren't allowed to use mute with constants. Constants aren't just immutable by default. They're always immutable. You declare a constant with a const keyword instead of the let keyword, and the type of the value must be annotated. Okay, so annotated is the thing where, okay, we have this 5 here. I'm a little salty that my inlay hints aren't here. I wonder why they aren't. But so basically, an inlay hint should let us know. Okay, yeah, the inlay hint is letting us know that this is a 32-bit integer. But we can also explicitly say with a type annotation that this is a 30 with an I. That this with whoopsie daisy. Hold up. Let's grab all this here and paste that there. So we can explicitly say that this is a 32-bit integer. But you know, we have those type, we have the inlay hints to let us know, like the editor's given us that, which is nice, which I almost find like kind of necessary in a way. But with this, you won't not be able to put it there for const, I guess is the idea. All right. Let's see here. So we're about to cover types and type annotations in the next section, data types, so don't worry about the details right now. Just know that you must always annotate the type. All right, constants can be declared in any scope, including global scope, which makes them useful for values that are part of code. Right. 1 second, let me check something here. 1 sec. All right, sorry, my dog was about to start freaking out. All right, so we're about to cover types and type annotations. In the next section, data types, so don't worry about the details right now, blah, 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 okay. Constants can be declared in any scope, including global scope, which makes them useful for values that make parts of the code need to know about. What? All right, I might be reading this wrong. Constants can be declared in any scope, including the global scope, which makes them useful for values that many of the code needs to know about. All right. The last difference is that constants may be set only to a constant expression, not the result of a value. All right. Sure, okay, that makes sense. All right, so here's an example of a constant declaration. And they just go with the normal way of doing it, I guess. So the normal, like underscore, capitalize, blah, blah, blah. All right, so let's grab this. Actually, I don't think we need this. The constant's name is 3 hours and seconds. Fair enough. Okay, so we got 60 minutes. Right. Okay, 60 seconds, right. And its value is set to the result of multiplying 60, the number of seconds in a minute, by 60, the number of minutes in an hour, and then 3 for, I guess that's the number of hours, sure. Okay. So Rust's naming convention for constants is to use all uppercase and underscores between words. The compiler is able to evaluate a limited set of operations at compile time, which lets us choose. This is like a slog getting through all this text here. Which lets us choose to write out this value in a way that's easier to understand and verify, rather than setting its constant to the value of blah, blah, blah. I guess, sure. Yeah, probably, I don't know. Okay, valid for the whole time the program runs within the scope they were declared in. Oh, I forgot the camera. There we go. Almost got rid of that. My hair's all messed up. All right, so let's see. We're declared in. This property makes constants useful for values in application domain that multiple parts of the program might need to know about, such as maximum number of points. All right, sure. All right, so shadowing was another one. Shadowing was, if we go back to, let's see here. Oh, did I get rid of this? Yeah. Well, we kind of went over shadowing, but we can do that again. Let's see. We had the guessing game. Yeah. And so basically shadowing is just like, you know, we have our guess here. It's a string, and we're shadowing it by sending it to something new over here, which is like a totally different data type, which is also pretty interesting. All right. Oh, you notice I forgot the webcam. Gotcha. What is this? Hi guys, been trying to split windows vertically in NeoVim basic IDE, but blah 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 won't work. Is this intentional? I don't know. I don't ever split windows that way typically. What's the run debug thing in the main function line? That's just like some code lens. So I have code lens set up for this. You can do that. It's not so hard. What's kind of cool about it is that if we go back over here and I do something like space LL, see how it like comes down here and says code lenses, and then I can either run or debug. So I'll press like 1 and it'll just run it for me, right? So that's something pretty cool that you can do. And also my inlay hints, man. I don't know, like Rust, we gotta get better at that. Anyway, so yeah, that's what that stuff is. Now, where are we here? Shadowing. Yeah, let's actually do shadowing. So Do they want me to just... I guess I can just keep pasting all this stuff. It's not that big of a deal. It's not like this is super complicated anyway, so yeah. All right. So now we got x is equal to 5, and then we're saying let x equal to x plus 1, and then we have something here. I don't know what the hell this is. This seems to be some sort of scope. I don't know. I'm not sure. We're gonna have to figure this one out. So this program first binds x to the value of 5, then it shadows x by repeating let x equal blah blah blah. So this is the first shadow, taking the original value and adding 1 to it, so the value is x, then is 6, sure. Then within an inner scope, okay, the third, oh, so it is a scope. That's what they're calling it. The third let statement also shadows x, multiplying the previous value by 2 and giving x a value of 12. Oh, is that only valid inside the scope, though? I bet that's what they're trying to tell us. So, like, this thing here is going to say, like, it's still 6, but if I print it out inside this scope, it's going to say that it's 12 or something like that. That's probably all that it is. Okay, so let's see here. This program first binds blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Okay. Let's run it and find out. Are we printing inside of here? Printing there, and we're printing here. All right. These dogs, dude. All right, so now let's, how do I want to do this? I'm just going to open up a terminal to do it, I think. It kind of cuts off a little bit over there, but it's probably not a big deal. We'll do cargo run. Yeah, see? So that's all it was. When you hit it in the scope there, or when you change it in the scope there, it'll hit the end of the scope and it'll say, all right, I'm done. Like, nothing you did here matters anymore, and then it'll jump out back to the outer scope, and none of this will be valid in the outer scope, which is kind of interesting. I can't think of any things off the top of my head for where that is useful, but it's kind of an interesting idea. Okay, so let's see. Shadowing is different from marking a variable as mute, because we'll get a compile time error if we accidentally try to reassign this variable without using the let keyword. Okay, so we can't just say like x. So we did do that. Did I keep the guessing game open this time? Yeah. So here it's different because we made this mutable and then we did this. Oh no, it's not actually. So this one, we're still doing let in front of it. So this is still, yeah, this is still definitely shadowing. All right. If we accidentally try to reassign this variable without using let we'll get an error if we accidentally try to reassign this variable without using the let keyword. By using let, we can perform a few transformations on the value, but have the variable be immutable after those transformations have completed. All right. So let's see what else we got here. The other difference between mute and shadowing is because we're effectively creating a new variable, when we use the let keyword again, we can change the type of the value but reuse the same name. For example, say our program asks a user to show how many spaces they want between some text by inputting space characters. Then we want to store that input as a number. Right, okay. This has no output? Oh yeah, I guess they're not printing anything here. But yeah, that just makes sense, right? So this was a string to start with, and then we use let, and then it's a whole totally different data type, so that's fine. Spaces variable is... Let's see. I don't know if my chat got messed up again. I wonder. No, okay, good. Just making sure. So I know that this was going to be a less busy chat today, because this is not as fun as starting the book, right? This first spaces variable is a string type, and the second spaces variable is a number type. Shadowing thus spares us from having to come up with different names, such as spaces string. Yeah, we talked about this. And we could just reuse it. All right, that's pretty simple. What was that chapter? Variables and immutability. Gotcha. All right, so data types. Every value in Rust is of a certain data type, which tells Rust what kind of data is being specified, so it knows how to work with that data. We'll look at two data type subsets, scalar and compound. Okay, scalar seems pretty simple. Compound a little bit more complicated. Keep in mind, Rust is a statically typed language, which means that it must know the types of all the variables. It's not explicitly statically typed, though. The compiler can usually infer what type we want to use based on the value and how we use it. All right, so in cases where many types are possible, such as when we converted a string to a numeric type using parse in the comparing blah, blah, blah section, we must add a type annotation like this. Okay. Right, so we had to give it a type annotation. Actually, someone showed me in chat before too that you can like put a little type in here before the parse, and that'll also work. If we don't add the type annotation here, sure. So scalar type represents a single value. Rust has four primary scalar types: integer, floating point, numbers, and booleans. What's a number versus like just one of these? And then it has characters. You may recognize these from other programming languages. All right. Integers. All right, simple stuff. Nothing too complicated there. I mean, I guess unless you don't know the difference between an unsigned integer and a regular integer, but I don't really feel like getting too far into that right now. Decimal, hex, octal. I think I have a thing for this. Like if I go over here and I do space LA, I can convert this. So I can do like 5. Oh, well, okay. I'm not sure that that actually did anything. Oh, wait. Yeah, 1. And then it converts it to binary. And then I can do space LA. And then I can convert it back to like, you know, whatever I want. So I can put it back to a 5. So I think that's kind of cool. Right, integer overflow. So just don't try to put anything too big into something that can't handle it. Obviously, this is 2 to the 8, so it can only, you know, values between 0 and 255. So I guess if you're really pressed for space, then it might become an issue for you. When you're compiling in release mode, Rust does not include checks for integer overflow, and that causes panics. All right. I don't think I'm really going to be running into any situations like this. Floating point types are floating point types. They're not super complicated. So they're going to be floating 64s by default. But if you want, you can make them other different kinds of floating types. Follows the IEEE 754 standard for floating. F32 type is a single precision float, and F64 has double precision. All right, fair enough. Numeric operations, plus, minus, multiply, divide. This is interesting. So I always like to know, like, if I divide two integers, what is it going to give me? Is it going to give me back a float, or is it going to stay as an integer? So that's fine. Remainder, this is, yeah, going to go as 3. Simple as. We got booleans here, so t is equal to true, and then we're going to set this. I guess if you want to do an explicit type, why not? The main way to use booleans is with if conditions, right? With control flow. Let's see here. Character types. We got our emojis that are necessary, and I guess this is some weird kind of Z, and then this is a regular Z. Compound types. All right, so compound types are probably a little bit more interesting. Compound types can group multiple values into one type. Rust has 2 primitive compound types, tuples and arrays. So the tuple type is a general way of grouping together numbers of values with a variety of types. Can have different types in it? That's weird. Variety of types into one compound type. The tuples have fixed length. Once declared, they cannot grow or shrink in size. I think there's some compound or some concept of vector in this language. I think And yeah. So we create a tuple by writing a comma-separated list of values inside parentheses, each position. Yeah. Okay, so this is us just typing, and then we can do that. I don't know if it has inference though, but it looks like it might. Yeah. And then let xyz equals tuple. So this is what, like tuple unpacking or destructuring. Okay, so this is destructuring a tuple. So basically you'll set it equal to this, these three things. But if you then do let and then you put it like that, you'll destructure it and you can print it out piece by piece. All right, fair enough. Let's see. Can also, that's weird, syntax. I feel like I'd rather it be brackets, but whatever. So basically we can access the 500 by going like .0. That's odd. All right, the array type. So this is just going to be a fixed width array, I'm assuming, or fixed size array in memory. And I think there's something later for vectors that will allow us to have dynamically sized arrays. Okay, unlike a tuple, every element of an array must have the same type, unlike arrays in some other languages. All right, sure. Main equals this. Are we going through every chapter in the Rust book? I don't know. Until I'm bored, let me see. I'm still gonna do other videos, but during the week, my plan is to stream. Let me see. How far do I want to go? I want to at least get to lifetimes, I think. Yeah, I want to at least get to lifetimes. And I might do the section on smart pointers. And yeah, so I'd like, if I can get to lifetimes, then I'll be like, all right, I have enough of Rust. But we'll see. I might go through the entire book. Let's see. Where are we at here? It's huge. It's not that big. I could do this in like a week, probably. Yeah, it can't be that bad. Borrow checker's hard to understand. So what do I plan to make with Rust? I have one idea that I want to work on. Well, I have a couple ideas. One thing is going to be so that I can post, obviously I could do this with Python like very easily, but I figured I would do it with Rust just because it's different, and I want to be able to I want to subscribe to a push notification from YouTube, and I want to like post videos to social medias and stuff like that. And that's something I was planning to build with Rust at some point. I don't think I need to know that much Rust for that. And then the other thing I was planning to build was a color scheme generator for NeoVim. What else? Because that'll give me something I can package up and I can have people install. I can you can do cargo install and then like a GitHub link for that, and then that might be useful. I have a few other plans too, but I forget what they were. These are just ideas that I'm starting with. I don't know. I'm gonna see. I'm also learning Rust just because it's a meme right now. So I just want to figure out what's going on with it. Borrow checker's hard to understand. Okay. I kind of like the borrow checker maybe because I've never really coded any C or other general low-level language, but I found the system pretty intuitive. Gotcha. So this is the Rust Bible. Seems legit. Every cult needs its holy book. Yeah, that's the part that I don't necessarily like about the Rust community is they're a little culty. So yeah, but I don't know. It's definitely an interesting language so far. There are aspects I already really do like about it versus C. I did a lot of C in college, so there's one thing like references, right? Like the different pointer types and stuff like that. Like you have to try and be unsafe with Rust, which is kind of nice, I guess. From someone who wants to create something where you don't want to, your first instinct isn't to worry about, you know, like your pointer being null or something like that. Like in Rust, you can't have the null pointers. Oh, you can, but like a reference type can't be, as far as I understand. And I don't know a ton about Rust yet. This is just stuff I've kind of like read. Thoughts on Go? I don't really know a lot of Go. I've written a little bit of Go, but I haven't like done anything serious with Go. So I don't know. How are assignments in college going to be in uni for CSS or for CS soon? And I don't really know what to expect. Just use GitHub Copilot, and that's all you need. Yeah, just learn it for the memes. Who cares, man? Like, just, you know it, and then you can just say, like, you know it, and then you can actually have an opinion on it. Like, so if I go through this book and at least get to lifetimes, I think I'm allowed to have, like, an opinion, you know, about how I feel about the language. Compared to the other languages I know. Like, I know a good amount of languages, and I'm just trying to kind of add one to this list, you know? Alright, so let's go ahead here. Alright, this program first creates a tuple, binds it to the variable, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, this is just destructuring. Yeah, that's all. I mean, this should feel, like, extremely intuitive. And it is, so that's nice. Alright. That was that. This is our array. So arrays are fixed size. They're just arrays. Vectors later on. Look, chapter 8, we're going to talk about vectors. Alright. And then we can have dynamically sized arrays. However, arrays are more useful when you know the number of elements. Right, so this is something where I don't have to allocate so much memory because I can just put this in an array. It's not going to change. If you have any like fixed size array, like you should probably just use this. You write an array's type using square brackets with a number of each element. Okay. Brackets with the type of each element, a semicolon. You write an array's type using square brackets with the type of each element, a semicolon, and then the number of elements in the array. Okay, okay. So you're saying like everything in here is an integer, 32-bit integer, all 5 of them. You can also initialize an array to contain the same value for each element by specifying an initial value. Okay, so followed by a semicolon, then the length. Okay, so this is going to be 5 3s. Yeah, this is going to be 5 3s. I don't know when you're really going to want that, but sure. What do we got here? This is accessing things. Invalid element access. I'm sure it'll panic for whatever reason. Let's see what this does. Please enter an array 100. Yeah, it just panics, tells us index out of bounds, simple as. And if I, whoops. And then we put 3, and it'll give me the value for 3. Okay. Yeah. You can, this is the thing, right? So this is an example of Rust memory safety principles in action. In many low-level languages, this kind of check is not done, and when you provide an incorrect index, invalid memory can be accessed. Rust protects you against this kind of error by immediately exiting instead of allowing the memory access and continuing. So yeah, that's it's things like this that I do like about Rust, right? So you do get that. Versus just allowing me to access some random bit of memory somewhere. Alright, so functions. Let's see. Functions are prevalent in Rust code. You've already seen one of the most important functions in the language, the main function. Okay, yeah, so that's fine. Okay, so we're just creating another function here. Rust uses snake case as convention. you know, nothing really too groundbreaking about this. We can call functions. So I'm still in the, whoops, what just happened there? Excuse me. Go away. Something went wrong. Alright, so this is just calling functions. There we go. I mean, yeah, this is pretty self-explanatory. You can make a function with fn, and then we can say another function, and then we can do something in that function, and then we can call this function here. Parameters, so we're passing a parameter. I guess, do we have to type it, which are special variables? Part of the function signature. Well, we can find out, right? We can just start typing stuff in. So let's do, whoops, x, and then what do we got? If I just put x, and then if I put like 7 here, this thing's going to say missing type for function, yeah. So you do actually need to type them. Like that. Forgot the I. There we go. And what's this saying? Unused variable x, yeah, okay. So then we can print it out if we want to. Yeah, so simple stuff so far. What do we got here? This is, we're calling this function down here, and it needs an int32 and then a unit label, which is a char or a char, whatever. I say char sometimes because I don't know. And then we're printing it out, and we can do it this way. I think you can do this inline though, so I kind of want to see if I can do that, because I've always wondered like why not do that. Like if we have like a value, and then we can do unit, whoops, what the hell? Unit label, and then if we could just do, yeah, this is where this kind of sucks because the book is kind of in my way. We'll pull that out, I guess. And then we'll do delete, find, L, D, boom. I love hop. Hop is such a cool thing. Let me put that back in there. All right. So now, yeah, I wanted to test with that. Yeah, it still works that way. I don't know, like, some people might like it the other way, I guess, with the commas and stuff, but I kind of like this, like just embedding it directly in. All right, that's not really groundbreaking. Statements and expressions. So function bodies are made up of a series of statements optionally ending in an expression. Did you use hop to delete a character? Yeah. So let me show you this just because it's kind of cool. So like, all right, what do we got? We got this S in measurement, and then we got this S in is, right? So imagine I'm here and I want to delete to this S. So I want to do a precision deletion, right? And so what I can do is I can do df S, and then it's going to give me 2 characters. It just happens to be S on top of this one. It could have been anything. And now I can just press S, and boom, I'm there, right? Or imagine I wanted to cut into the S. See, this is the thing. If you did it the other way, you'd have to, like, I don't know, you'd have to either do it twice or do like a repeat operation or something like that. But instead of doing that, you can just do, we could do CFS and then cut to there and start typing. Hop is great for that kind of thing. And also, I don't even use this version of hop, like 2 character ME and then like jump to things, right? I also use as my regular S bind is just moving between words. So I can just hop between any word that I want to hop between, right? I can like jump to the beginning of a line. I can do, like, there you go, right? So I do like that. All right, back to Rust. So we got our main function, and what is it? So far, the functions we cover haven't included an ending expression, but you have seen an expression as part of the statement because Rust is an expression-based language. This is an important distinction to understand. Other languages don't have the same distinctions. Well, I guess that's the idea of this expression thing. So for instance, if I do this, right, it's still valid. and it works. And so someone was telling me that this is like an expression. Like, but if I try to do, if I remove that and then if I yank, it's going to give me an error now because it needs a semicolon. But if it's the last thing that's there, then it's okay. That's my understanding anyway. So let me read this again just to be clear about this. So function bodies are made up of a series of statements optionally ending in an expression. So far, the functions we've covered haven't included an ending expression, but you have seen an expression as part of a statement. Right, so I guess this is the expression, and with the semicolon, it's a statement? I don't know. Let's see. Because Rust is an expression-based language, this is an important distinction to understand. Other languages don't have the same distinction, so let's look at what the statements and expressions are and how their differences affect the bodies of functions. So statements are instructions that perform some action and do not return a value. Expressions evaluate to a resulting value. All right. So we've actually already used statements and expressions, creating a variable and assigning a value to it with let. With the let keyword is a statement. And right, so this is a statement. And I guess what's inside of this is an expression. I'm assuming like this stuff right there. You're gonna need to look into hop now. Yeah, hop is great. Hop is, well, you are gonna need my my fix. So make sure you you check out my fix as well. Let's see here. Where were we? We're here. Okay, so function definitions are also statements. The entire preceding example is a statement in itself. Statements do not return values, therefore you can't assign a let statement to another variable as the following code tries to do. You'll get an error. Oh, okay, never mind. So this isn't a thing. I thought it was like maybe a thing. It's just gonna fail. All right. Why is it giving me like another? Probably because everything's all wonky with that. Oh, so now it's giving me these type things. I kind of wish they were inline or whatever, but whatever. It's not a big deal. And what's the problem here? Unexpected bang. I think it's complaining about nothing. I think it's full of it. All right. Function definitions are also statements. The entire preceding example, blah, blah, blah. Okay, yeah. So you can't do this. You'll get that back. Fair enough. The let y equals x statement does not return a value. So, okay. So expressions have to return values. So there isn't anything for x to bind to. This is different from what happens in other languages such as C and Ruby, where assigning returns the value of the assignment. In those languages, you can write x equals 6, x equals y equals 6, and both, yeah, I've seen that. Oh, you can't do that in Rust? That's interesting. Okay, so expressions evaluate to a value and make up most of the rest of the code that you'll write in Rust. Consider a math operation such as 5 plus 6, which is blah, blah, blah. Okay. So let's take a look at this here. New scope block created with curly brackets is an expression. Right. Let me see. Okay, so this is an expression in here. That's why this can end with that. I'm definitely going to misunderstand what's happening with this. So y is equal to x is equal to 3, and then we can do x plus 1 inside this this expression thing here. You know what? Maybe I did do expressions actually in the arms, in that ordering thing in the guessing game. How do you usually learn a new language? Just use the online books if you can. Usually I'll build something with it, but I've heard that the Rust book is a great learning resource just in general. So someone told me that reading it is worth the read. So I'm reading it through, and I figure I'll get real bored reading it through on my own. So that's why I'm reading it on stream. Because it's hard for me to like sit through like an online book, you know? Yeah, watching videos can work for some people. That doesn't always work for me. Ironically enough, I like to read things if I can. But yeah, but it would be hard for me to get through. Like someone did say, like this is a pretty long book, and if I'm just sitting here by myself, just like reading it, just like all right, just, you know, it's nice to be able to speak out loud and say things, because if I'm also sitting here not on stream, I can't just like talk to myself. I mean, I can talk to myself, but people would like worry about me if I'm sitting in my room like talking about Rust just to myself, which is basically what I'm doing right now. But anyway, let's see. So let's see if we can understand this. The expression, this is obviously the expression, is a block that in this case evaluates to 4. That value gets bound to y. Okay, the x plus y line doesn't have a semicolon at the end. So like the value can escape. So like if we did put a semicolon there, it probably caps it. Or well, actually, yeah, look, we can just find out. Doesn't implement, blah, blah, blah. Everything's broken, right? But if we get rid of that, yeah, it doesn't like cap the value there. Is a block that in this case evaluates the floor. That value gets bound to y as part of a let statement. Note that x plus 1 line doesn't have a semicolon at the end. Unlike most of the lines you've seen so far, expressions do not include ending semicolons. If you add a semicolon at the end of this expression, you'll turn it into a statement. It won't return a value, and then you'll be screwed. You won't be able to do what you want to do. Expressions, see this, there's some stuff here that's just like weird, like these inner scopes, expressions, they're just like odd to me. I don't know. Let's see. So functions can return values to the code that calls them. But actually, I've seen like these kind of scope things before, at least in Java. I don't know if I've ever done that in C. I don't know if that's a thing you can do in C. But yeah. Anyway, I don't want to get too caught up in that. So functions with return values. Okay, return values of the code that calls them. We don't name return values, but we must declare their type after an arrow in Rust. Okay, so you have to say like what. Yeah, okay. And then you can just give it the expression 5. That's weird. This is an odd function. You can return early with the return keyword. Sure. Okay. The 5 in 5 is the function's return value, which is why the return type is i32. Sure. There are 2 important bits. Okay, maybe I'll grab this code and we'll paste it in here just so we can see it, because I guess we're going to read about it. Okay, so why do we get this other like run debug thing? And then it's going to like, this thing like does not like me. Rust Analyzer's got some bugs in it. So let's see. So let x equals 5. Look, it's even smart enough to know that this thing like does that. See, there are nice things about Rust Analyzer, but anyway. And okay. There are no function calls, macros, or even let statements in the 5 function. Just the number 5 by itself. That's a perfectly valid function in Rust. Note that the function's return type is specified as an int32. Try running this code. The output should look like this. All right, it's equal to 5. I'm going to trust you on that one. The 5 in the 5 function is the function's return value, obviously, which is why the return type is integer 32. Let's examine this in more detail. There are more important bits. First, the line let x equal 5 shows that we're using the return value of the function to initialize a variable. Sure, because the function 5 returns a 5. That line is the same as the following. Yeah, sure. I mean, that's what it's gonna. These things will compile down to the same thing, I'm assuming. Second, the 5 function has no parameters and defines the type of return value, but the body of the function is a lonely 5 with no semicolon. It's an expression whose value we want to return. All right. let's see. I'm gonna skip over the text where I can. Like if I can like intuitively explain this, then I think that's probably gonna be better. If I could just look at the code and somehow like just see it, I guess. So we have main let x equals +1, and we pass it 5, and then we can just so it's the same thing. We can do a math expression, simple stuff. This one, is there any difference? Oh, yeah, here we go. So there's no semicolon. So I bet, okay, for instance, let's just grab this piece. And probably it'll fail for me if like I paste this in. No, it's good. Okay. So now if we go like this and we put that there, it's going to fail. But if we do something like this, I bet return, then it's fine. But it's an unneeded return. So Clippy's smart here. I wonder if I could do space LA. And look at that. It says 1 down here. Remove return, blah, blah, blah. I don't know, actually. Is that gonna fix it? Yeah, look at that. This is why I fought so hard to get Clippy working. Alright, so we got cool stuff like that. Compiling this code produces an error. Yeah, I get it. You know, I get the virtue of reading the entire book, line for line, but that's a lot of text for me to read out. Comments. They're comments. So, look. That's a comment. And so is that. And so is this. And so on and so forth. Comments don't run. And that's fine. This is super cool, though. All right, let's see what we got now. Control flow. All right, yeah. See, we're almost done with chapter 3 here. Like, it doesn't take that long to get through a section. How long have I been streaming? Only about an hour. You could get through this book in like a week. And I could read this a lot faster on my own, I'm sure, but I don't know. What language is this, Rust? Yeah, this is Rust. I'm determined to learn it. I'm going to learn it for the memes. I'm going to make something in it, even if it's easier for me to make it in something else, just to understand it. There are a couple reasons to learn Rust anyway. Like if you are, if you want to like build some of your own stuff, not only are, like right now, because it is a meme language, you can advertise just that your thing is Rust and people will use it just because it's Rust. I mean, it's sad that that's how the programming world goes, but that's the way it goes, right? When Go was the new hotness, everybody loved Go. When Rust is the new hotness like it is right now, everyone's going to love everything done in Rust. Rust seems to have a little bit more staying power than a lot of other languages. Why not just learn Python or C++? Well, I already know Python very well. I do Python at work. I know how to make APIs in Python. I know how to do all sorts of stuff in Python. I can do machine learning stuff in Python. I can do whatever in Python, right? I don't need to really learn that much more about Python. Like, of course, there's aspects I don't know about Python, right? And of course, there's aspects of C++ that I don't know as well. I mean, I write Java as a living, and there's a shit ton of stuff I don't know about Java. Learning different programming languages, especially ones that are unique, like Rust, give you kind of like Haskell, for instance, would be another good language to learn, just because like it does things differently, right? So it's like a functional language. Did you say a meme language? Yeah, Rust is a meme language. So like, for instance, if someone comes to you and they say, "Oh, look what I made in C," people go, "Oh, yeah, okay, whatever." And then they say, "Oh, you made it in Rust," and then they'll be like, "Oh, wow, this is I don't know, what's a stupid program?" I can't even think of a stupid enough program, right? But it's just like, you make any stupid ass program in Rust, people care. They care a little bit more. The Linux kernel will have Rust in it. It looks like it. See, I kind of find that somewhat as unfortunate. I don't know, like I'm not sure. I really like Rust is a cool language, but it's just like I feel like Rust is also at the same time forcing itself everywhere and has like a really culty community. So those are things I don't necessarily like. No more 2x. Oh no. Well, we're almost done with this entire section, right? We're almost done. We're about to finish a section here on control flow. Hello world in Rust. If I write it in Rust, people like if I publish a binary that like prints hello world in Rust, that's gonna be my first one that probably already exists in Cargo, but I'll have my own special hello world package, and I'll get like 5,000 downloads. It'll just print hello world. Do I know Python and C++? I know Python better than I know C++ by far, but I know enough C++ to be dangerous. Definitely to be dangerous. I can write you some dangerous C++ code. All right, so control flow. The ability to run some code depending on an if condition is true. These are just basic concepts. No, I'm mostly a backend developer. I do cloud infrastructure, Java backend stuff for different microservices and IoT. I write Python too. I've written some resources for things that's in Go. Like resources for something called Concourse. I don't know if you heard of Concourse. I write a lot of Bash too. Just for like test automation, build automation, all different kinds of wacky cloud stuff that you can just kind of glue together with Bash. I don't really do any front-end programming, actually. I mean, the only front-end programming I do is my website. This guy right here. This is pretty much all the front-end programming I've done in a while. But I think I'm pretty good at it. I think it's pretty, right? Let's see. Hello World in Rust, blazing fast. Yeah. You got to put the rocket ship, and we'll get it out there. We'll publish it. Only Linux driver for now. Less crashing of USB Wi-Fi driver. Yeah, I guess it's in the drive. I don't know enough about the Linux kernel to really say like where Rust would fit in, where it won't. I don't really know. I haven't done systems level programming since college, and even that was just like college systems level programming. YouTube chat doesn't show you the. I don't know why it doesn't. I feel like I allowed that. I don't know. I don't know why they're so culty either. It's a cool language and it's different, but I don't know what built such a cult around this thing. You know what I think it was? I think it was all these JavaScript developers, and they had like this like weird inferiority complex because they had never written C before, or like if you're as unfortunate as me going through college, I was a computer engineer, so I had to do like assembly. I had to do MIPS. Millions instructions per second MIPS architecture stuff. I had to do Verilog, I had to do VHDL, I had to do MATLAB. MATLAB's not as like system-y programming as those things, but all this stuff is like the boring programming, right? But I feel like a lot of these like I'm self-taught developer, blah blah blah. I taught myself data structures and algorithms with JavaScript. I feel like they developed this inferiority complex, and they're like, you know what? We're gonna adopt as a community not the most, but a difficult systems level programming language, and we're gonna write everything in that. And that's kind of my that's my nonsense explanation as to why it's so culty and popular. And then they're like, screw those C guys, because they bullied us and they were mean to us and they called us soy devs. So we're not gonna associate with those C developers. I wrote an API database wrapper in Rust for an app for a client. Yeah, why not? You did MIPS too? Oh man, that sucks. Took me 10 times longer than it would have in Flask. Or Fast API. Fast API is really nice too. Oh yeah, Python, dude. Python you can get done like that with anything, right? But like anything I want to do, I could go do it in Python right now, right? But sometimes it's nice. One thing is if you do want to learn Rust, you can get into like blockchain development, stuff like that. You can make a lot of money doing Rust. And like I said, it's a meme language right now. So, all right. Let's see if we can get through control flow. How long is this? All right, we're not going to read every single line. Control flow is not complicated. We have main let number equal to 3. If number less than 5, print this. Sure, we get it, right? Everybody gets it. Sure. One thing that was cool, like you can see how we're doing it this way with control flow, but there's that match statement from over here. This is neat. This is like new control. This is new to me. I've never done anything like this. So this match statement is pretty cool to me. I don't know if that's in other languages. I think System 76 is creating a new desktop environment in Rust. So yeah, they got like real angry with the GNOME people, and they're like, "Screw you guys, we're gonna build a new GNOME, but in Rust." Okay, let's change the number of yeah, okay, whatever. See, look, we can skip over that whole section because that's just nonsense. If number, this is interesting. I hope this fails. 1 second. Let's jump over to this guy here. I hope this fails. Okay, good. It's already letting me know. This has got to be a Boolean. Good. I don't want to deal with that stupid shit. It's like from JavaScript. You can do this in JavaScript. And it's like, oh, there is a... Look, are they even going to mention it? Yeah. Unlike languages such as Ruby and JavaScript, Rust will not like auto-convert a 3 into a Boolean. So, yeah. File matching is... I mean, I get, like, why do it. Like, but it only makes sense in dynamic programming world. The matching is from functional languages such as Erlang. Okay. Yeah, I had a feeling it came from the functional world because it looks so foreign to me. I actually don't know what Redux OS is. I like Match. I do like Match. But I like functional programming, so a lot of other languages are adopting pattern matching. Ruby just got it. Who's using Ruby in today's day and age? Yeah, it is the devil, right? Yeah, it definitely is. The Boolean thing where you can say like, oh yeah, 3 is totally a Boolean. Okay, JavaScript. Yeah, so that's good that we're not dealing with that nonsense. What do we got here? If number is not 0, this should work. I'm not even gonna read it. I'm just gonna go take a look, and I'm just gonna prove that I have a clue, I guess. This is working, but sometimes I'm just doing this all in the variables file. Yeah, this works. And look at this. We got these nice, handsome ligatures, but, you know, all that is just not equal to. Bang equals not equal. Redux OS is like its own Linux kernel, just in Rust. I don't know, I guess. The Rust compiler was first written in OCaml, I think. OCaml's a functional language, right? I say OCaml. Is that how people say it? Or is there a better way to say it? I've never written anything in OCaml. People are probably, I don't know, some guy like laughing like, oh, he pronounced it OCaml. It's actually OCaml. All right, so what do we think here? Number is equal to 6. If number blah, 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 that's not going to be true. If number that is going to be true. And then we're going to, well, we're only printing, we're not returning. If that'll be true. And then this one would not be true. Yeah, no, I think, yeah, no, no, these are else ifs, so this should only get to here. It's not like they're all ifs, I guess. So let's see. I'm pretty sure I could look stupid here, but I think that's the only one that's going to print out. Yeah, okay, good. We're not that dumb. Doesn't C do that? Everything other than 0 is true? I think that is true in C. I think. I know 1 is true in C, at least, but I'm not sure I've tried. It's been a while since I've written C, so I'm not the authority here. Are you going to try Elixir and Phoenix next? I might. I do kind of want to learn Go. You know what language I've been kind of like secretly wanting to learn was Zig. And Elixir actually might be one that's pretty interesting as well. But the Phoenix was like the most popular, like the Phoenix framework or whatever it is, was like the most popular thing in on that Stack Overflow thing. Program has 4 possible paths it can take, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, we got there. Now, if we had just made it an if, then, like, can we just do that, actually? Is that possible? No. Or, yeah, like, can we do that? And then, what's this say? Else is missing. It looks like that. Now, if we do that, then we should get both of them, right? Yeah. It's just the way that it's written is, like, looking funny to me. Yeah. So we just have to take that out. Control flow. You can really screw up a fizzbuzz without the right else ifs and stuff like that. 1 true, 0. That's what I thought. Yeah, that's what I wanted to say. I don't think like 2, 3, and 4 are. But I don't know. Elixir's for web development. Rust is for systems programming. Use the language that's right for what you want to build. I agree. Yeah. But right now for web dev, I use mostly just JavaScript and JSX. So, like, I would need like a good reason to go into Elixir world. Like, I guess because it's not JavaScript. Is that the argument? And WebAssembly likely. Use if and a let statement. Okay, that's pretty neat, but I don't know if I'll ever do this, ever. This is like when you want to impress your friends or something. You add like this line here. You're just like, well, did you know this? Did you know you could do that? You put that in a code review and someone just looks at it and they're like, ugh, okay. Now what do we got? Blocks of code, L6. That's odd, but I guess you can do this. It's complaining about this. Can you do this? Is this valid? No. Because they have incompatible types. Okay. Good. Expression in the if evaluates to an integer, and the expression in the else block evaluates to a string. This won't work because the variables have a single type, and Rust needs to know. Right. At compile time. Right. So this is the thing where a compiled language is going to be like, nah, because I can't know what to do here at this step. Right. So, like, what kind of memory am I allocating here? Am I allocating memory for a string or for an integer? And actually, I think it wants to say the compiler's already locked in to doing an integer. And so it's like, you got to put an integer over here. 5 is true in C? Wow. Well, you learn something new every day. I just never have done that in C. I never thought to do it. I never thought to go, like, just, I don't know. But I know I used to use ones and zeros. The guy who wrote River Window Manager in Zig had an interesting talk using it. He compared it to Rust. How dare he, right? How dare he? And complain why he chose Zig over Rust. Yeah, I wanted to learn Zig. I thought Zig is like, okay, new systems level programming language, not Rust. Need to justify why you write non-Rust software, right, in today's day and age. Repetition with loops. Okay, here's the fun loop stuff. Here's kind of a cool syntax. The loop thing is just like an infinite loop, and I'm not going to put this in here, but yeah. So you can just put loop, and it'll loop infinitely. If you have a program like the program we have in the guessing game, loop works great because it'll stop to get this guy here, and then it'll stop. It'll also have a break here if you guess correctly. So looping this is no big deal, but if we loop this, it's just going to print again, and so on and so forth. And that's not good. So, I mean, if you're going to use this, you should make sure that you can't ever find yourself in a situation like this. So this is honestly pretty scary for the most part. Yeah, I know. All right, here's some somewhat boring concept, but actually there seems to be a label in front of the loop. That looks pretty interesting. All right. So now we have a labeled loop here with a little dash in front of it. I think there's like lightning and thunder. My dog's freaking out. Yeah, anyway. Okay. Alright, whatever, dude. I'm just gonna have to talk over him. Does Clippy warn you if you no exit from loop? That's a good question. Now this is a good reason to print this in. I hope Clippy does. Because if Clippy does, then it... What the hell just happened there? Because if Clippy does, then it's even more of a good reason that I got it working. Let's restart it just to be sure. Nah, Clippy's not that smart. It doesn't seem. That's a good question, though. Go contact the Clippy people and tell them to fix that shit. All right. Like, if there's no, I don't know. It's not to say that you need a break in there, but I don't know. You might run into weird things. Okay. So we can break particular loops. All right. This is actually pretty cool. So if we did a regular break here, we're going to break the scope of the loop that we're currently scoped to. But if we do this break here, then we're going to break this master loop, this loop on the outside, and break the entire loop. That's pretty neat. So you can name loops and you can break the loop that you want to break if you have, nested loops. That's kind of cool. I like that. This is just the break keyword. You should probably be familiar with the break keyword. This is neat. I like that. What's Clippy? Clippy is... How can I make Clippy do a thing again? Oh, like that, if I come down here again, and if I do, let's write a function, if I can remember how to write a function, but I don't have to remember how to write a function because of snippets. So we're going to do, we're going to call this test, and then we're going to just jump over here, and for the argument, we're going to do x, and then we're going to jump over here, give it a type, we're going to say 32, jump to, oh, this is some nonsense. Return type, we'll say I, 32, and then like if we put just 5 right here, it's just telling us here this is Rust C, so you can see the Rust compiler is letting us know that we got some trouble here. Now Clippy is going to do something cool, because if we do like 5 plus x, whoops, all right, and so now, okay, no problem, still Rust C is blah blah blah, okay, and now x is used, so one less problem from it. We'll just use this over here so you can see that we're not, getting anything else. What's the problem? Oh, it takes an argument. We're going to pass a 7. Okay. And what's the problem now? What? What does that mean? Okay, that was it. So, okay, so we're passing that a 7. I'm so used to writing Lua and Python, and sometimes I forget the semicolons. Java usually brings me back down to earth, but I haven't written any serious Java code in a minute. So now we got this 5 plus x. Now watch this. If I do return, Clippy's going to come in here and say unneeded return statement. You don't need that. Rust does things just a little bit differently, right? Just we do things a little differently around here, and so it's going to let you know it's a needless return. So what we can do is we can do space LA for. How come there's no code action? There should be a code action. 1 second. Let me reopen this. I'm so surprised that I don't have it. Okay, here it goes. So the code action showed up, and it's like, okay, remove return from 5 plus x, and I can say yes. So Clippy also gives us code actions, too. So yeah, Clippy's pretty cool. Fresh looks pretty sick. Dino and Rust just came out today. I'm officially overwhelmed. But dude, web frameworks. This is why I never wanted to be a front-end web dev. I want to make things with front ends, but I don't ever want my profession to be front-end web dev guy who works at company who has to constantly learn new front-end web frameworks all the time to stay relevant in the industry. Sounds like a terrible time. Imagine spending like a year or 3 writing Ruby stuff and then like, oh yeah, by the way. All right, so we got our breaks here. That's all cool. We get breaks. We understand them. We understand labeled loops. Pretty neat stuff. We talked about Clippy. Clippy's cool stuff too. I actually think you can do that in JavaScript. Do what in JavaScript? I don't know. I'm missing things. Oh, label loops. That's cool if you can do that in JavaScript. I didn't know that. Says a guy who's learning a new language for fun. That's a good point. But frameworks are bigger than languages, and yeah. So, I don't know. Named loops. And also, I do enjoy learning things, but I don't enjoy learning things because I feel compelled to learn things. Like, I wanted to learn Rust out of my own interest in learning Rust, right? Not because I'm like, oh, I got to learn this new thing or I'm going to be irrelevant and then blah, 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 you know? I feel like as a front-end guy, you feel compelled to go and learn React or whatever. Islands architecture is new hype in front-end world. I don't care about front-end world. Just right now, I know Next.js. I learned Next.js, and I'm like, that's new enough for me. I came off Gatsby. Gatsby was like a nightmare. Front end is fun. It can be, but like I had a lot of fun making my website, right? But you know, I feel like it can get old pretty fast. I'm a Ruby dev, and it's a little different in the Ruby world. It's JavaScript-based guys that have more churn. Well, that also makes sense, I guess, right? Because there's JavaScript devs are kind of a dime a dozen. Ruby devs, there's certainly less of you guys. Someone watched the new Fireship video? I don't think I watched the new Fireship video. But I did look. I recently subscribed to Fireship though, so I do know who Fireship is, but I don't know. I don't think I watched his new video. Maybe I did. Maybe you can refresh my memory. What did he talk about in it? Maybe I did. What do we got here? Counter. We're looping over a counter. We're breaking when the counter is equal to a certain thing. Okay. Wow. That's yeah. And we use mutable because we have to, and blah blah blah. What's complicated about that? Pretty much nothing. What's the next one here? Conditional loops with while. Okay, so this is a regular loop. We've only used those so far. Oh, the guy mentioning fresh. Okay. Fresh is a new thing I guess he talked about. 1 second. Let me close this. Hey Chris, big fan of Lunarvim. Love the stream. Oh, it's glad to hear. It's good to hear. I'm glad to hear it, and it's good to hear. Is the plan to make it to the last chapter? These Rust streams are great. If you're enjoying them, then yes, I'll go all the way to the last chapter. I don't mind. I mean, my plan is, during the week, I don't feel like making videos because videos are kind of like, believe it or not, I'm more stressed out making a video than sitting here and streaming for 2 hours learning something and talking to people. Because a video is like, I have to edit out like uhs and ums and stuff, and I have to like come up with like a script that like kind of gets to the point, and it's kind of a recording process and stuff. Whereas in a stream, I can just sit here and talk about whatever the hell I want to talk about. So and learn stuff. So they're like, this is like much more chill for me. Also, let's see. So let's see. What do we got here? Numbers. Okay, we're just counting down from 3. We're doing minus equals 1. Blah, blah. It's like, yeah, okay, wow. Yeah, this is like, lots of languages do this. It's the same as number, minus 1. And then, yeah, so impressive. And now Clippy. Look at Clippy. So smart, right? So Clippy's not going to let me do that. He's got my back. What the hell is flip binary expression here? What does that mean? Oh. Well, that's certainly not what I wanted to do. But anyway, we can replace that with that. I'm so glad I got Clippy working. I worked so hard for that. I had a table in Lua outside of the other table, and that's all I had to do was put it in the right spot. But it took me like 45 minutes to figure that out. Does the repo with the config for the Rust dev... Oh, blah, 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 blah. Does the repo with the config for the Rust dev on NeoVim updated? I think I know what you're saying, and yes, it is. It's basically as good as this one right here. Yeah, there shouldn't be much that one... Yeah, Clippy's working on that one, all the things. So yeah, it should be fun. All right. The construct eliminates nesting. All right, this construct eliminates nesting would be necessary with loop is else. Okay, so we got our while. And sure, I guess you don't need some whatever. We understand while loops. We get the new loop thing going on there. I'm much more used to while loops because I get like the other, like the regular loop is basically just what this, like, right? And I bet, look, watch. Our boy, Clippy, comes in just to confirm. What's this? Or at least Rust C knows that this is an unreachable statement. This config is my own personal one. It's no problem. You can ask questions. I got the gist of what you're trying to say. All right, so what's this guy? Looping through a collection with 4. Where's the 4? This is the while loop. So this is like a regular while loop. Sure, and we're going to loop through A, where A is an array, statically assigned array. We're going to say index is mutable because the index is going to change as we move through the array. And, well, index is less than 5, you know, increment the index and blah, blah, blah. So what I'm hoping, I guess, is what it's going to allow us to do is get rid of the need for the index. That's my thinking. Yeah, see? So now we can just do 4 element in A. I like that I have these different options with looping. The regular loop thing is like interesting. That's the only thing that's really new to me here. But I'm glad I have the ability to do this as well, because yeah, this is simpler than doing a while. And this is the kind of for loop that I like too, like for thing in collection, rather than, you know, for in I equals 0 while I is blah blah blah, I plus plus all in the same thing at the top. Do you for LunarVim for your config, or you made it more in the style of NeoVim from scratch? My config is probably much more in the style of NeoVim from scratch. I am going to eventually go back and fix NeoVim from scratch, and also go back and work on some LunarVim stuff just to get it all working. But the reason that I haven't gone back to either of them yet is because I'm waiting for 0.8 to be the stable thing, so that I'm not going to be caught off guard by anything. But I do need to fix both of those repos to get them more in line with, well, I think LunarVim's okay for the most part. It has bugs, but software has bugs. But NeoVim from scratch is broken right now, and I need to fix it. All right, so now we have, this is weird. Not that weird, but it's weird enough. So maybe this one's worth printing out and examining a little bit. Okay, so for number in 1.4, so what is that going to do? It's just going to go from 1 to 4, so what, 1, 2, 3, 4? I guess they don't have like a range. This is like their way of doing range, I guess. And then rev is just reversing it. So what are we going to do? We're going to do 4, 3, 2, 1 liftoff, I'm assuming. Or just 3, 2, 1 liftoff. Where's the 4? No 4? I guess it's not included. So the last thing is not inclusive. So then we're just going to do 3, 2, 1, blah, blah, blah. All right, whatever. It's the same way in Python and other languages. 4 is not included in the range, yeah. I had a decent guess, okay? You can't blame me for assuming that 4. One more dot? Nuh-uh, you're lying. You're a liar. Seems like Rust has a lot of JavaScript conventions in terms of syntactic sugar, at least. Maybe. I don't know. In some ways, yes. Because there's let and there's const, right? So, in some ways. I don't know if this is... I've never personally done this in JavaScript. But JavaScript, they also have this concept of destructuring in Rust, too, which is like EX6. That's the first time I ever saw that was in ES6, personally. An equals sign? Where? Oh, equals 4? I've seen that with getting random numbers. So that's how we include it. Nice. Okay, gotcha. Thank you. I learned something new there. All right, you made it. That was a sizable chapter. We learned about if statements and all different other kinds of nonsense and blah, blah, blah. All right, I feel pretty good about that. What did we do in this stream? We did all the stuff in common programming concepts. So that's pretty good. Well, you were pretty close. I wanted to do this, so I'm glad I know how to do that at least now. But yeah. All right. So yeah, if you guys got any questions, I can answer questions for you guys, and then so you guys can ask them now if you have them. So Vim questions, whatever they are, just let me know. Rust questions, because if not, then I'm just going to probably hop off the stream. I did want to show one last thing here, though, which is something that I was showing, earlier, just because I find it so cool. I just don't always find reasons to use it. But imagine that I want to delete from this P to this N over here, right? And I can do, with this thing, I'm going to make a video about this too with hop as soon as my fix gets merged. But if we do df, and then if I look for N, it'll give me all of the N's as something I can jump to, and then we can jump to the D, and then boom, we can get rid of that. Or we can do a dfn, and we can just jump to the first N, or we can do dfn and jump to the second N, and so on and so forth. And I really like that, that kind of like motion operator thing right there. So, okay. Planning on do a Rusty Vim. I have a Rusty Vim. This is pretty good. I got by the way, I got Tableau working. So not only do we have Tableau working, but also other things like exclude is a thing that it knows about because it's in a cargo file, right? I don't know. It won't know. Well, pretty soon I'm gonna use this cargo. CMP cargo thing, and I'm going to be looking into that as well. But yeah, and also like if we go in here and it'll give me an enum, so 2015, 2018, 2021, so on and so forth, right? If I go like this and break it, it'll let me know. There you go, right? How you doing? I'm doing pretty good. Thank you for asking. No one ever asks that, so that's nice to know. Excited to watch that new unreleased Space Vim review video. My review on Space Vim is it probably was a really cool concept when it first came out, but now I think it's probably a little dated and a little bloated for my personal liking. But I used it before, and I still think it's a pretty cool thing. It definitely influenced the stuff I did in LunarVim and my current configuration with like pressing space and like having a menu pop up and stuff. Just curious, have you ever wanted to use Awesome WM? Yeah, so I am kind of drawn to it because it's all configured in Lua, and I know Lua like pretty good now, and I know it better than I know C, right? So, but I just right now, dude, like DWM just works so good. It's like I don't have any problems with DWM, and I hate ricing. I hate this ricing concept, right? Like, this is my desktop. It's fine, right? I don't really need anything else. It looks like Mac OS, all right? It looks like my work computer, I guess. So it's just like, it just all feels the same, right? And that's kind of just what I was going for, was just something really simple. I think Mac computers do a really good job of just looking extremely simple. I hate all the bright lights and all the things, so I just wanted like simple colors, you know, white and like kind of transparent, just super simple. What do you use for unit testing and debugging? Do you use command line tools at work, or do you have them integrated with NeoVim? NeoVim. So if I mock Java mode, blah, 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 and then we go like this, and repos, and if I go to Java, blah, 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 look at this, okay, we'll open up some Java code, and then if I come down to, whoops daisy, if I come to test, app machine, app test, we'll come over here, and then I'll put like a debug point, so we'll put a breakpoint. Oh, DApp's not found right now, okay. I don't think I have DApp set up, but typically I'll put I'll have a debug point put there, and then I'll just run, I don't know, now I'm assuming the test won't run, but we'll say space. This is weird because this should be working. It's working in the, if you look at the Java IDE one, I have all the debugging working and all that stuff. I thought I was going to be slick and show you right away, but apparently I don't have it working on this machine. But yeah, I use debugging for that. I can do unit testing with JUnit. I can do all the things. Go back and look at my Java stream, and you'll see it. What's your opinion on Lightspeed versus Hop? Basically, my opinion is this. Can Lightspeed do this? Like the thing I just did, right? Like, okay, we're looking for, what, ease, right? So I'm going to delete, find, an E. All right, now I have all the E's marked, and I was looking at this particular E, all right, like right there, and I clicked by accident. But if we jump, well, look, we can do this with hop, and I can jump back to the first word really easy. Obviously, I could also use, let me show my keys here, like this. So obviously, I could also use this. I could also do the caret, right, to jump me back. But the caret is like up there with my numbers and stuff, and I don't always like to press that. So if I just press S and then L, I'm there, and I didn't have to like reach my finger anywhere. And so I kind of like that. Anyway, so if we do DF, and then I'm going to look for an E, and now I'm going to delete to where the E is over there. I'm going to press H. So if Lightspeed can do that, maybe I would consider Lightspeed, right? But right now, hop is like my favorite thing. Isn't awesome just DW? I think it's forked from DWM, actually. Yeah, I'm using Instant OS. It's a DWM fork and love it. Somebody sent me a thing today. I don't know. Some of you guys are probably familiar with Psyduck. He sent me this thing from this new PCOM thing, this new compositor. And I'm not going to do it right now, but you can check it out. Let me show you what he sent me. So look at this. See? And it's got like animations. Because I know Instant OS has animations. So yeah, I think this is pretty cool actually. So I was thinking about potentially checking that fork of PCOM out. This one, I don't like. The one thing I don't like it for is this. I don't like it for Fibonacci. It makes my head kind of spin. It's like, I don't know. I can't even look at it right now. I'm gonna like, I don't know. I don't know how anyone could look at that all day. That's a good way to give yourself a seizure. One second. I use AWM before, and oh, awesome window manager. Like it, just learn more Lua and configure it myself instead of copying snippets from projects. Yeah, if you have like NeoVim and awesome WM, you're probably in a good spot. Now using BSP WM. I've never used it before. Nothing should be broken with the MVim basic IDE. Nothing should be broken with that. NeoVim from scratch is broken. It's definitely broken. Love to see you streaming so much more. Yeah, I'm actually enjoying streaming. So, I enjoy making videos and I enjoy streaming. But I've been on kind of a learning kick lately, and I was kind of doing it by myself, just kind of sitting around, and I'm just like, because you know you're learning now about stuff, and then you're not in like college anymore, so it's not like there's a bunch of people to like, you know, who are all learning the same stuff as you, right? Or who are even interested in talking to you. Like, go try to talk to your girlfriend about learning Rust and see how much she cares, right? So, yeah, it's just nice to, like, stream, and then, like, you can, I don't know, get your ideas out there instead of just sitting around just like, oh, yeah, I'm going to read this book, like, by myself in a dark room, even though I'm still in a dark room right now. I like the idea of 100% Lua config across the board. Yeah, at this point, I kind of like that, too, actually. Found an awesome WM config online, copied it. Yeah, that's a good way. Then you kind of go backwards. Be careful giving an opinion on Lightspeed. The author will hunt you down. He can hunt me down if he wants. I don't care. If it can't do the stuff that I just showed you in Hop, it's not as good as Hop. Reason I like WesTerm is there any Wayland WM with Lua config? Not that I know of. Yeah, I thought they were cool, right? Like, just like how it moved around, I don't know, just kind of looked kind of neat. He does have funky keyboard sounds. That guy, he's real aesthetic. He's the MV Chad guy. So, you'll look it up. MV Chad. He's like a DWM config too. This is obviously not an endorsement of MV Chad, but the one thing I do like about MV Chad is it's extremely aesthetic. Right, and so a lot of the stuff this guy does is aesthetic. But yeah. Let's see here. Have we tried Linux from scratch? No. I don't have that kind of I don't have that kind of patience. Looks like Hyperland. I don't know what Hyperland is. K. I don't know what I said. Anyway. Talk to your girlfriend about Rust. You need a girlfriend first. Well, trust me, when you get a girlfriend, she's not going to want to talk to you about Rust. Community is definitely a nice thing to have when others are learning and struggling through the same thing. Yeah, yeah. I think also it's like hard for some developers to get on stream and then like admit ignorance and look stupid doing something. Like I'll forget some basic ass concept or something, and or share something and it'll be broken, and then you just sit here and you're like, ooh, you know. But once you get used to it, you just don't really care anymore. Here's the thing: talking to Aaron might get you sent to a place. Yeah, exactly. Struggling at yeah. And I know a lot of people are learning Rust right now, so it's kind of a nice thing to kind of get out there with. Did that with MVChad, worked backwards. Oh yeah, like you download MVChad and then you kind of like go backwards from it. Yeah. It's probably a little harder to go backwards from LunarVim, but I think it's extremely easy to go backwards from something like MVim Basic IDE. Like that thing is like just about as simple as a config is going to get. The hard parts are like LSP and getting all that, like massaging all the LSP to work correctly. I wish there was an easier way to do that. Currently, there's just kind of not. Not that it's bad right now, but it could be better, I think. How many screens do I have? I have 5 screens. Well, screens. Like, I thought you meant workspaces. 2. So I have, let me show you. Probably kind of see. Oh, wait, no, I forget what the command is. It should be this. No. What do I usually do? This. Yeah. So you can see this is everything that's on all my workspaces right now. And so right now on the left screen is this YouTube thing and also OBS. And then on my 5th workspace, I have GIMP here where I worked on my little thumbnail here. And then all this stuff is, you know, this is on a different workspace and so on and so forth. Then all you got to do is hover over whichever one you want. And like we could hover over, I don't know, our editor here, and then you're going to focus on the editor. If you start using MVChat, you'll get a girlfriend. Is that how it works? When you forget to hit the compile button. Yeah, something like that, right? Something like that is the kind of thing where like you have to learn to get embarrassed in front of people and not really care. Do you know how to get React snippets working? I see only instructions for COC, not CMP. That should just work, I think. You use friendly snippets. Like if you look at MVim Basic IDE, uses friendly snippets. Glepner has a better config than MVChad. That's a starting place. Yeah, Glepner is actually back too. Glepner. I don't actually know how MVChad like works internally. I just know that Psyduck makes things look very, very. The word is aesthetic. So I guess Glepner is like some sort of I guess that's what he's named after, some series. I know he's got an anime thing. Yeah, here we go. If you look all the way down here, he's popular enough to where you can look up Glepner and Vim. And I didn't know he had a config. If we, oh, this is his config. This is his MVim config. Yeah, he disappeared for a while, but he's back now. And this is actually pretty nice looking too. Skippy's sick. What I'm intrigued by is how the transparency without needing PyCom. I have PyCom. Oh, there is a one light speed is becoming Leap. Yeah, but can Leap do the things that I just showed with Hop? I don't think it can. Are you using DWM? I see there's so many features which are so cool that i3... yeah, I am using DWM, but I'm using my own fork of DWM that you can find if you go to my website, which is probably the easiest way to find things. Let me jump this out of here, and then we'll move the chat a little bit. And you can click on my GitHub. And then if you go down here, first you have to sponsor me. No, you don't have to do that. But if you look at my organizations, you can see the macOS. And then if you look at mock WM, that has all of the cool stuff that my window manager has. So it doesn't, like, I don't have any pictures or anything like that, but it has like the Skippy stuff that you see, like this thing right here. It has that, and it has a couple other things as well. Do you think Skippy would work on top of a DWM fork pretty easy? Maybe. I don't know. You can try for me, but it doesn't work in i3. So in i3, what'll happen is you'll do this, and like all these will be grayed out, and you won't be able to like jump to other things, or it'll only show the ones like in your current workspace or something like that, right? So we could like jump to that one. We can jump back to, where's the chat at? We can jump back to the chat. So yeah. What are your thoughts on GTK devs considering to drop X11 backend for GTK 5? Oh, they're going to use Wayland, I guess. Look, I think everyone's moving to Wayland, and I think it's somewhat unfortunate, but I also think in another way that it's probably better. I don't think this is a system D kind of scenario. I think X11 is kind of not so great. But X11 is also extremely time tested, so I don't plan to leave X11 until I have a really, really good reason to do so. Like it needs to be inconvenient for me to leave X11. Awesome has a plugin called Revelation that does what Skippy does, but kind of better. Okay. Wayland is X12. I don't know. I think that might be somewhat of an insult to Wayland. Wayland is more secure than X11. I don't know if it does like sandboxing and stuff like that. I don't know if that's really up to, because the other thing is the difference of ideas where, like, for instance, with X, you have compositors and window managers that are kind of like separate concepts. In Wayland, you just have compositors, right? So like a window manager in Wayland, while we'll still likely call them window managers, are just compositors, right? And there's no awesome WM for Wayland as far as I know. So, yeah, not that I know of at least. Awesome window manager. I think the X11 devs are done or are moving over to something. Yeah, I don't know. Oh, awesome WM. Yeah. I would maybe do that, but I think the next time that I'm actually going to end up switching to a different window manager is when I move over to Wayland. I just don't think enough people have kind of adopted Wayland. So these are some things you can do with Awesome. These are like some cool plugins you can bring into Awesome WM, I guess. I need to make a video on that. That's a good point. I really should make a video on this. There was Awesome WM for Wayland, but it died. Yeah. Yeah. Again, if I don't know. It just needs more time, probably, and then eventually it'd be good enough to move over to, I guess. Isn't Sway the only window manager that works on Wayland? No, there's other ones. There's definitely other ones. I think actually someone mentioned River. I think River's for Wayland. Let's try this. Let's do Awesome Wayland. Maybe this will work. This is how I find everything. Here you go. Here's some compositors. Yeah, River's one of them. Cage Break, Cardboard, DWL, Hikari, Hyperland. I guess that's what people were talking about earlier. These are all compositors, and you call them compositors in Wayland world. Wayland is better in ways. I don't want to get into it right now because this was mostly supposed to be a Rust stream. But I didn't know if Qtile works on that. Yeah, so these are all different compositors. Anyway, I can't spend too long here. So let me get into shilling some of my website stuff, and then I will do another stream soon where I do Rust stuff, and we can talk and we can do all the good stuff. So website, chrisatmachine.com. If you want to sponsor me, you like the content, you want me to make more stuff, I'm probably going to make more stuff anyway, but you can sponsor me on GitHub, And you can support me on Patreon if you want. Discord, if you want the community and all that kind of good stuff. We got like a good amount of people over in the Discord, all very helpful, good community. Twitter, you can follow me on Twitter, so @Chris@Machine, where I just basically am going to post these streams and videos and all that kind of good stuff. Obviously, I'm on YouTube, and there's a link to my GitHub and projects and stuff. And if you want to read through the blog, I'm going to try to update the blogs. I know I don't have all the old stuff on there, but I'm going to get it on there soon. So that's pretty much it. Yep, no problem, man. I will try and check Discord. Can you ping me again, actually, on Discord? Because I think I have such a long thing. It's a nightmare. So just ping me again. That way I can actually find it. But, all right, guys. I'll see you in the next one.